Hey everybody, we're back with the Black Death game to see what horrible choices we can make this time. If I remember right, we are still traveling with our little friend we met, the thief. Bernal, look at his name. I'll see it in a minute though. Or maybe we're not. Maybe this is right before we meet up with him again. So I know last time we died, and I said call it quits, so let's see. Mind and your heart sinks down to your gut. You try to hold back tears, but they keep rolling off your cheeks. The wind dies down for a moment, and the sails creak to a stop. You hear a voice behind you. There he is, Lorenzo. Parents are dead, aren't they? Wow, thank you, Mr. Observant. Just like the sailors near the wharf. Haphazardly drying off your tears, you nod slowly. Lorenzo takes a seat beside you. In silence, you watch as the sun sets over the horizon until darkness engulfs the valley. She barely growls. Lorenzo takes from his pocket the piece of fish he stole from the market, cuts it in half, and offers you a piece. I still think I should refuse it because it might have the stuff in it. Knowing very well the food was stolen from a merchant on the pier, you skip on the meal. Be proud of yourself, but still hungry. For a moment you wonder if you're going to take your own morality too close to heart. Yeah, maybe. A faint glow appears from the church, and you wonder if the priest is having a nightly sermon to reassure his flock. The cross over the steeple serves as a reminder that God is your savior and will protect the poor and weak in their defenselessness. At least you hope he will. Okay. You're awoken by the sounds of thunder and notice a storm is brewing in the sky. While you're still finding your bearings, Lorenzo's already packing his things. Come on. We better not linger too long in these parts, especially if the local authorities are on the lookout. Sharing Lorenzo's sentiments, you pack in haste. You see the first drops of rain on your forehead, and before long the rain grows into an impressive flood. You mentioned to Lorenzo you could head over to your aunt's farmhouse beyond the valley. With rain dripping from his chin, Lorenzo nods in agreement. Walking down the hill, you wonder how you explain I forgot to read that. Fudge! Deep mud. Turning that down a little. Okay. As quickly as it came, the storm drifts away, leaving Lorenzo and you soaking wet. The clouds part and the early sun soon shines brightly, drying off your drenched clothes. As you hike up a small hill, you glance at Lorenzo. He seems to be in great spirits for a boy who didn't eat all morning and ventures into a muddy road. You're about to say something when you notice a horse-pulled cart in the distance, and the merchant cart appears to be stuck deep in the mud. The stranger is pulling at the horse as his companions try to lift the heavy cart out of the mud. As you approach, the stranger waves you over. As you prepare to walk towards him, Lorenzo places his hand on your shoulder. I don't think they're merchants. Indeed, clothed in rags and mismatched shoes, they look more like thugs or drifters. I don't think we need to go see them like we tried to last time. You start walking towards the ditch and one of the strangers starts running after you. Afraid, you also start to run but suddenly trip and fall face down in the muddy grass. As you get your senses back, you realize you've tripped over a dead man. Oh, nice. Lorenzo lends you a hand and quickly helps you to your feet. As two men are coming your way, Lorenzo takes out his sharp knife. You guys stay back. Calm down, boys. That man was already dead when we found the cart. Likely story. Look for yourself. Flee. You feel you're in a tight spot and decide to flee. You look at Lorenzo and see he's already to bolt out of there. With a discreet nod, you both start running away from the strangers. You follow Lorenzo out of the forest, putting more distance between the men and you. You come across branches with thick thorns that rip part of your pants and gravely scar your leg. Just stop to examine your leg. Lorenzo looks behind the trees. Thankfully, they didn't follow us. Let me look at your leg. You lift up the leg of your trousers to reveal deep red scars. You know they're scars. Geez, you really mangled yourself there. Try to be more careful next time. As Lorenzo wraps your leg with the remaining part of an old scarf, you flinch with pain. That should do for now. Let's make it over to the ridge. Silently agreeing, you follow Lorenzo up the hill. Well, let me guess, there's still going to be those guys at the bridge. Yep. Walking down a grassy slope, you notice a river in the distance. Soldiers bearing long spears blocking the access to the lone bridge. Farther away, you notice a man pulling an old gray mule. A sickly, pale young boy is lying on the mule. Guards. Do you think this could have something to do with the stolen cart? I think it's better if we stay back. These guys can only mean trouble. I'm gonna hide. You quickly hide in the nearby bushes. Lorenzo points out an iron cage wagon near the bridge. That cage is a death trap. Luckily the guards didn't see us. As you survey the area, Lorenzo shoves this pointy elbow into your sides. Hey look, a point that leads up under the bridge. Without another word, Lorenzo sneaks past the bushes and heads towards the river. You quickly follow suit, mimicking his every move, sneaking from shadow to shadow. Under the bridge, Lorenzo dips his boots in the river. No wonder they built a bridge. Look at this river. It's foaming at the mouth, ready to devour us alive. In the rapids, you make out a few rocks that could serve to cross the river. What do you think we should do? Last time I went first, and I got caught, and I got sick, so I'm going to see what happens when he goes first. You look at the river and signal for Lorenzo that he should go first. He shrugs and sets foot on the nearest stone, and then jumps to another large stone in the river. As you watch, you wonder if he'll be able to follow his steps. Splash! Great. Just as you're about to set foot on the first stone, you see Lorenzo in the distance lose balance and fall in the rapids. Help! You start to run, falling the river bank, but as you emerge from under the bridge, guards, who also heard the scream, tackle you to the ground. I think I'm screwed if I do and screwed if I don't. As they hold you down, you powerlessly watch Lorenzo battle with the strong current. But you try to explain that your friend will drown if you don't help him, but the guards just punch you in the gut. Oh, how nice. They drag you to the iron cage and lock you in. Okay, so both choices gives me that, and one loses me Lorenzo. I have a bad feeling. The iron cage bars are cold and sturdy. Bidding your time, you take a seat at the wooden side bench. A few minutes later, you hear one of the guards approaching. I brought you some company. The guard opens the cage and the man and the sickly boy are pushed in. No, don't do that to me. One of the guards ties the old gray mule behind the cart. The pale skin of the boy and his painful coughing reminds you of your sick parents. Cover your mouth with your shirt. You quickly cover your face with your shirt you have on and you close an eye to the new cellmates. After a while, the cart starts to move. The old mule follows behind it. You begin to understand this might be your last ride as the wagon feels like a death trap. As the iron cage passes below a tall tree, you hear a familiar croak. As you look up, you see a raven on a thin branch. A shiver passes through your spine. The crows are lurking. You look at the man sitting in front of you in the iron cage. Corvus. Crows, ravens, and rooks. They all smell death from miles away. Holding his son close to him, the father starts to caress the boy's pale forehead. I lost my wife this morning. Now my boy is sick. He needs a doctor. Not being stuck in a cage. And the crows, the ravens, and the rooks? They are watching. Frightfully, you look up at the tree branches and count 5 ravens. You hear gagging as you look at the sickly boy with disgust. Black saliva covers his pale lips. God himself sent us this disease. Last time I agreed, even though it's probably how I would feel in real life, but I'm going to disagree. Annoyed, the father spits in your face and looks away. Well, that's great. Don't go thinking you're better than the rest of the lot. Using your sleeve to wipe the phlegm off your face in disgust, you move to the furthest corner of the cage. Where'd you get the spit on me? The wagon travels the whole day and finally stops at nightfall. The guards set up camp not too far away from the iron cage. The night air is cold and the wind is relentless. On the opposite side of the iron cage, the father and son have managed to fall asleep, but from time to time the body of the young boy trembles with fever. You overhear the guards describing the rest of the journey and understand you'll have 3 long days trapped in this gloomy cage. You examine the father, his dark eyes sunk. His dark, sunken eyes, his very pale skin, and deduct he might also be battling some type of infection. With great hesitation, you pull up your shirt and examine your frail body. You are relieved not to find any black patches. Still, you feel a swelling in your throat. Don't do that. A whisper comes out of the darkness. Hey, it's me. Looks like you're still alive. Under the pale moonlight, you barely discern a small silhouette, but the voice is undeniable. It's Lorenzo. And guess what? Those soldiers are drunk as skunks. I managed to steal the keys off of one of them. Lorenzo edges closer to the cage. Baldassar, you don't look so good. Are you, infected? Describe your swollen nose, throat, and itchy eyes to Lorenzo, hoping he'll brush it off as some sort of allergies. Instead, he walks away from the iron cage, mortified. A swollen throat? Show me your neck. Pull down your shirt. You get closer to the cage and expose your neck and body. Relieved not to see any of those dark patches, Lorenzo continues. Maybe you caught some kind of flu sleeping out here. Better hurry to your aunt's so we can have a look at you. Let's ride the mule to save time. Lorenzo looks at the old man and the child behind you. They won't need it. That kid is already dead. As Lorenzo unlocks the cage, you feel your fever getting stronger. Is there any way to not die here, I wonder? Or am I not dying for once? As soon as the gate opens, the father pushes you aside and carries his child directly to the mule. Get out of my way. This is my mule and I need it. You'll be damned if you'll steal it from me. Lorenzo grabs the bridle attached to the mule's head. We're taking the mule, old man. Right, Baldassar? Last time I think we took the mule and it actually made us sick, so I'm trying to see. You move aside and the father climbs on the mule with his sickly son. He whips the animal and soon they are gone. I hope you know what you're doing. Which way to your aunt's house? Holding back a cough, you look at the moon, point to the west, and start walking. Okay. A fever continues to grow inside you. The scenery is a confusingly blur. Your clothes are damp and cold. You no longer feel you are controlling your emotions. Inside your head, a voice keeps repeating. Keep going, keep walking, but the fever is too strong. You lose consciousness. You never wake up and die from the mysterious illness. Okay, so that didn't save us. I wonder what the thing is that saves us. So last time I did all completely different things. Maybe if I eat the fish, something will go. Grab the piece of salty fish and chew on it silently. A glow appears from the church. There you go, the church thing is happening again. You are woken by the sound of thunder. Okay, so the same rainstorm happens. What does this mean? Oh, it means that my hand is hurt, I think. Maybe the fish is the thing I need to not catch the Black Death, because the other way I'm hungry and frail, so I don't know. See, last time I tried to cross the, I don't think if I meet the strangers it'll do anything, but I'm gonna try it. We are headed to the Florence to sell some of our goods. And lo and behold, one of the wheels comes loose. Lorenzo gives you a suspicious stare and walks closer to examine the cart. This always happens on these muddy back roads. Do you mind giving us a hand? Maybe lift the cart off the ground when we put the wheel back on. Sorry, I'm reading this part because I've never done it before. It might be the key to surviving, but I'm not sure yet. Just as you reach the cart, your gaze wanders across the field where you notice a patch of color in the ditch. Focusing your eye, you realize in horror it's a dead person facing down in the muddy grass. Silently, you point out the Maccabee discovery to Lorenzo. That's the merchant. I bet these thugs jumped him and now they're stealing his cart. And we're helping them with their evil deed. Seeing your pale face, one of the strangers approaches you. Is there something wrong? As you mention the dead guy in the dish, the stranger's posture suddenly changes. He puts on a large smile. Ah, that guy over there? Yeah, well, listen. The cart was abandoned. We looked around and saw this guy in the ditch. So we thought, he's dead, right? He won't need the cart or these goods anymore, right? So we decided to take the cart, bring it back to Florence. Maybe he find his wife or something. Yeah, sure, okay. And give her the cart. Such full of shit. The stranger lets this information sink in and then adds, the guy was already dead when we found the cart. Lorenzo shakes his head in disbelief. You don't believe us? Have a look for yourself. I don't want to. If I examine the corpse, I'm going to get sick. The two men look at each other with a grin. I knew you'd understand. You walk over to the cart and Lorenzo joins you. Together you lift up the rear of the cart while the men try to slide the heavy wheel back on the axle. As the strangers secure the wheel, you have the feeling they lied to you in some way. Well, yeah, me too, but we're trying to survive. Once the wheel is properly attached, one of the strangers gives it a precautionary kick to test its sturdiness. Looks like it's gonna hold. Well, thanks for all the help. We couldn't have fixed this cart without you. Lorenzo observes you with suspicious eyes. Yeah, I forgot. You guys wanted a reward? Sure. Why not? One of the strangers searches in the merchant cart. Well, look at that. Looks like you guys will enjoy a little feast today. The stranger pulls out some dried meat and cuts the piece in half and hands it over to you. Lorenzo quickly grabs the piece. I'll carry it. The stranger starts laughing at his partner, climbs on the cart, and starts whipping the horse. After a few attempts, the cart moves out of the mud. You watch the cart soon disappear in the distance. Lorenzo offers you a piece of dried meat. Here's your half. Noticing Lorenzo gave you a larger chunk of the meat than his, you grab the piece with glee. You chow down the dry meat while Lorenzo, without wasting another moment, sets the pace of the hike. Okay, so we're back to roadblock at the bridge. Soldiers are down there. Guards. Do you think this could have something to do with the stolen cart? No. You know, I've never gotten closer to the guarded bridge before, but I'm kind of scared to. But I'm going to do it. As you approach the bridge, Lorenzo diverts towards the green bushes. You're about to follow him when one of the guards notices you. Yeah, this isn't good. Stop right there. Quickly the guard reaches you. What's your name? Where are you from? Where are you going? You hesitate to answer. I'm going to tell the truth. The guards listen to your response and nod once to their other guards. Suddenly, someone grabs you by the shoulder and forcefully drags you towards the large iron cage. Yeah, figures. No use fighting, unless you want to get hurt. They shove you in the iron cage head first. There has to be a way to avoid the cage. I'm gonna watch up here for the Black Death symbol to show up. As the gate closes behind you, you hear the lock click a few times. Iron cage are cold and sturdy. Bidding your time, you take a seat on the wooden bench. Let me see, they're gonna add the sick guy and his son in here, right? Yeah. They always do that. Okay, so this is where the crows are. It didn't matter if I defended myself against God or not, so... Ignazio. Haha. Okay. I don't see anything popping up here. Usually by now, up here in the corner will tell me if I have the Black Death or not, so... There it is, I have it again. How do I prevent it from happening? I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch a playthrough of part of this and figure it out, I think. It's so weird that I catch it every single time and somehow always get caught by the cards, too. There has to be one goddamn way to not get caught by the guards. And I didn't die. I wonder if some of the choices I made differently were the keys to living through that. In the darkness, you hear your aunt's familiar voice and feel reassured. For 2 days, you're delirious, battling with the strong fever. Maybe you're gonna die anyway. You have the vague memory of your aunt feeding you barely water and boiled onions. Then one morning, you sit in bed feeling much cured. Oh, I can live through this. Nice. Your aunt sits at the edge of your bed, a worrisome look on her face. How are you feeling, Baldassar? I took care of your wounds. Ah, he looks fine. Can I have a bit more soup? Your aunt smiles and nods at Lorenzo, who quickly fills up his bowl. Want some? You shake your head as Aunt Camilla passes a cold hand on your forehead. What brings you back to the countryside, Baldassar? Your aunt's eyes widen as she slowly starts to digest the troubling news. Noticing Camilla go silent, you try to comfort her. Strange illness surrounds us, nothing like this fever. People are dying. Aunt Camilla looks at you with worrisome eyes. People are dying? Aunt Camilla gets up and looks far out the window for a short moment, then walks over to the stove to check on the boiling soup. It would be wise to never go back home, Baldassar. You both can spend the night and tomorrow. Best you leave before authorities come here. You walk closer to the warm fireplace and wonder. Your aunt's house is the only safe place you know of. Soon Aunt Camilla passes a warm bowl of soup in front of you. Florence is the city where you should go. In your mind, Florence sounds almost like a mystical place. Lorenzo stares into the flames in silence. As the shadows flicker around the room, you feel nervous, but your belly is filled with hot soup, managing to fall asleep. They are coming. That doesn't sound ominous. You wake alarmed by Lorenzo, who's quickly packing his things. They're coming. You get out of bed and look onto a distant road through the morning fog. Pack your things, Baldassar. I saw soldiers not too far away. We need to get away from this place. Hug your aunt one last time, remembering all she did for you. We have to go. Arriving in the yards, you find Old Mule lying on his side, cold dead. You shiver as you witness crows feeding off the dead animal. Well, guess we're walking. Following Renzo, you dive into a ditch and cross the barren fields. The morning fog turns thicker as you follow the path into the woods. Soon as you reach a long winding road that splits in all directions. Which way do you think we should go? We can't even see the sky with all this fog. Unsure which way to go, you shrug. Let's try this branch here. And well, if it's the wrong path, we'll just have to backtrack back here. Then we take another road. Doesn't sound like much of a plan, but you have nothing else to propose. After an hour of turning in circles, you finally manage to pick the right path. After hiking all day, you find a grassy glade near the road and set camp. As you unpack the rag linen you use as a bed, Lorenzo gathers a few rocks. We need to get a fire going, so we need some branches. I want to make soup, so we will need some water. Offer to fetch water. You remember seeing a pond not far away on the near path and volunteer to fetch the water. Lorenzo lends you his water canteen made of goat skin. You walk half a mile and arrive at a mossy grass area and find the stagnant pond. You bend down, fill the canteen, and notice many snares nearby. Turning over a few rocks, you manage to capture quite a few snails. Put them in your satchel for safekeeping. Satisfied, you leave the pond. Following the scent of burning branches, you make it back to camp. Lorenzo has already started the fire. You hand over the canteen to Lorenzo, who immediately fills up the pot. You found water? Looks like that's the only good news of the evening. You show him the snails and he beams with joy. That's great, Baldassar. Here I was thinking you were useless. Oh, thank you. You shrug at the comment while throwing the snails into the boiling water. Soon you are both sitting by the fire enjoying the soup. Well, I hope you enjoy pine stew because that's what's on the menu. Lorenzo grabs a handful of pine bark and tosses it in while boiling in the boiling water. Soon you're both sitting by the fire blowing on the hot soup. Playful conversation about the campfire turns into a grimmer topic. You never stole anything? Not even an egg? You shake your head, finding nothing wrong with it. Lorenzo then takes out of his pocket a golden florin coin and parades it under your nose. You'll never guess where I got this. Almost hypnotized by the glowing coin, you stay silent. You give up? Remember that windmill where we met at nightfall? At that moment, you remember it clearly and recognize the golden florin. The coin used to belong to El Percio, the one-handed miller. That's right. I broke into the windmill while you slept. I looked around for anything of value, but found nothing. That is, until I decided to leave. Then I saw just above the door a golden florin coin. Upon hearing the story, you were unsure how to feel. Seeing your puzzled expression, Lorenzo places the coin just within reach of your hands. If you want it, it's yours. Decline. That's your loss. I don't think you're meant for this world. It's cruel out here and unforgiving. For a moment, Lorenzo appears deep in thought. I would kill a man. I mean, if things got really ugly and I had no other options. Rubbing his chin, he grins. How about you? Could you take another man's life? Lorenzo burst out in laughter. I don't believe you for a second. I've seen you around your aunt. You're a mama's boy. Offended, you stare into the fire. Still, you wonder deep inside if you told the truth. Could you really kill a man? Your eyes half open, you examine the flames as they dance together to create the fire before you. You recall the priest preaching against violence and wonder if his own life has ever been in danger. At the gates. Finally, after camping by the roadside and feeding on wood pigeons and boiling water, you arrive at the top of a ridge and you see an impressive gathering of houses in the distance. There it is. It's all in all its mighty glory. Florence. You gaze in amazement. Blah, 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 blah. You gaze in amazement at the largest city you've ever encountered. Here we can find shelter, plenty of food, and most of all, anonymity. Together you walk down the slope and move closer to a massive rampart that blocks the passage to the city. Soldiers are patrolling the iron gates. Oh, great. What do you think? Surely the news of our journey hasn't reached this town. We are two nobodies. Look for another way into the city or proceed through the gate. I'm going to say. As you start to walk away, Lorenzo grabs your arm. Let's climb over the wall somewhere. Follow me. Lorenzo and you start circling the town, but are bewildered at the size of the city. This is going to take all day. At that moment, you spot a tall tree near the wall. Beaming, you point it out to Lorenzo. That could do. The tree is an old elm tree with plenty of branches. Upon inspection, you notice the tree has already been used many times to cross over the city walls. Hoist me up. In a matter of minutes, you both cross over the wall and land in the city. Florence. Immediately, you are stunned by the impressive architecture of Florence. Streets are paved with cobblestones and crammed houses create a sprawling maze of small alleyways. The city is lively, but you also notice a few more guards patrolling the streets. I have a bad feeling. I've never seen so many guards. A strange uneasiness is in the air. Ooh, excuse me. Uneasiness in the air is palpable. People walk with haste, some pulling handcarts, others rolling barrels as if they are preparing for some sort of siege. You recoil as a mischief of rats quickly passes near your feet. Let's try to find supplies, or at least a safe place to spend the night. I suggest we split up and meet back here around midnight. Still overwhelmed, you nod slowly. Oh, and whatever you do, don't get caught. With those words, Lorenzo disappears down a nearby alleyway. Secretly follow him or take our own path? Take our own path. You start walking and blend with the small crowd as best as you can. You pass a house with a window open, and on the ledge, 3 loaves of black bread are airing in the sun. Yes. You walk closer to the window, take 1 loaf, and tuck it under your shirt. Something you've learned from Lorenzo. Oh, great. Leaving the alleyway, you find yourself facing an old church as a few beggars and poor townsfolk crowd the steps of the holy structure. You understand this church serves people with great misfortune. A woman carrying a child exits the church, leaving the door ajar. Propelled by curiosity and a spiritual calling, you creep in. The candlelit church interior is almost bare of any art and ornaments apart from the frozen hung paintings, a dozen hung paintings, and a large cross erected at a stone altar. As your footsteps echo and disturb the holy silence, a few praying worshippers glance at you with disapproving faces. Trying to avoid their gaze, you walk towards a pile of paintings which illustrate a mountain, a gathering of the faithful, and a cross. In a dark recess, you notice a confession booth. You walk over and discover a copper box held shut by a metal lock. Having no coins to give, you decide to... You walk across the donation box, past the donation box. As you're about to enter the confession booth, a bulky man blocks your passage. You quickly divert your trajectory and sit on one of the many empty benches. In silence, you bow your head, bringing your hands together in prayer, and think of your journey so far. Convinced you haven't done any mortal sins, you simply ask for guidance and forgiveness. As you lift up your gaze, you look at the bare cross behind the altar and sense of peace washes over you. After a while, you leave the church and head over to the nearby plaza. Keeping your head low, you pass a few shops, turn into a large street, and finally arrive at a city plaza. In the distance, you notice a small commotion. But we're going to find out what the rats are all about next time. So, we'll see you then. Hope you don't die of the suspiciousness. Hope you don't, like, you know, die waiting or something. Black Death. Kidding. Okay. Bye.